Alright.
Welcome, Robert. The champ is here.
Yes.
The current regional champion for Gauteng. I would say
Still
SA.
feels weird to hear. It still feels weird to hear.
I would say SA, but obviously Cape Town had their regionals as well, so we also have a champ down there. But fantastic result. I mean,
well.
uncontested 6-0.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Mad.
pretty mad, but well deserved, definitely.
Thank you.
So obviously we have you in. We're gonna get into your deck and how your day was, etc. So maybe we'll start with just like the event itself. So how did you feel about the event? And your experience?
The night before, I went to the Stone Dragon, and there was like a little tournament there that I practiced for.
Yes.
And honestly, I was really scared. So what had happened was I was supposed to get, you'll see on the list, I was supposed to get an extra droplets on the day. And the day before, I had decided to, because I was just replacing the chalice with it, but in the side deck I had an open space, so I decided to play a Mystic Mine. And I know it's a bit of a spoiler, but then when I was going against the bird up player, because I just bought the Mystic Mine for my maximum gold, so it was just like, okay, let's do this, because I never owned one before, because I got rid of it. Like, I hate this card. So I was just like, let me be toxic and put it in just for one time. And it literally, the bird up matchup, when they sat there with the wind barrier statue, I was like, okay, mine, and then they couldn't do anything for like the next few turns until I got killed him.
Yeah.
So that, like, going into the tournament, I realized bird up is a really scary deck. And I had lost to it the previous OTS championship, which was like so tough to play through. So that was the main deck I was scared of, and then obviously is Scythe Lock.
Yes,
those were the only two things I was scared of. So that's what I tried to prepare for the most. I don't think I was scared of Window, because I noticed a lot of Shadow and Berg players had just been like kicked to the wayside.
I actually noticed like a few coming back, because I obviously Chris he was playing Shadow Invoked, but there was a few around. I think people got wind that Wind might actually be reasonable within the meta. But I don't think anyone was prepared for the actual meta with that deck. So
I think also because the previous tournaments we've had, a lot of the Shadow and Berg Dogmatica has just been like completely washed out, and people were too scared to play it again. But then also I think with the new decks coming in, a lot of players that did play Shadow Invoked just switched to the new decks.
Yeah, because there's a big chasm, to be honest, between like tier 1 and tier 2 at this point. You can feel it. You can feel like, okay, actually there's an uphill battle that I need to go to clear that gap.
Yeah, like it clearly, I think what Burst of Destiny did was it clearly showed that the previous format we're having was a tier 2 format. Like,
I think so, yeah.
Or like the best deck was probably Shadow and Berg Dogmatica and Virtual World.
Well, Dry. I mean, we had a lot of Dry.
Yeah, let's not forget Dry. So, don't disrespect the Drytron. That's also scary. Drytron is actually also a really scary matchup. I think because they have the Omni negates, and literally if they go first and you don't stop them, it's just good luck unless you open droplets.
Yeah. But I guess as compared to most format or new formats rather, it's usually like, oh, there's a few other tier 1 decks, and then something gets pushed down or whatever. But you pretty much like it's decks that are playing more or less in the same level. But this time with Burst, it was like, okay, here's a completely separate tier above tier 1, and everything just got pushed down, kind of thing.
And it was scary to see. Actually.
It was.
Like, it was honestly scary, because I was testing online because I was playing Altergeist before, and you start testing, and suddenly your deck that was doing well and was at one point even there was a point where Altergeist was the best deck. It was topping a couple of tournaments. Then it just dropped. And now no one's playing it, and it's dropped, so it's scary to see that jump in the format so quickly off one stage.
So how was the shift from control, set for pass, activate multi-faker control, to make 3 synchros a turn, kill your opponent in like an instant? How was that shift? So for anyone that doesn't know, obviously Robert was playing SwordSoul. Yeah. So how's that changed?
The jump.
Yeah.
So funny enough, one thing I know that Altergeist at least taught you, or control decks teach you, is they teach you resource management really well, and they also teach you to know your opponent's deck really well, more than you know your own. And especially when it comes to switching to, because believe it or not, when I started, I actually played combo decks at the beginning. So I started with like Yangzing Metaphors back in the day, and that was kind of, you know, synchro summon, make box, synchro. So that's why SwordSoul was so exciting to me, because I could do that. Yeah.
For months before. I know. Every weekend you were showing me that page with all of the box. Yes. I'm ready.
It's coming, boy, one day. But yeah, it's just honestly, it took a little bit to adjust because I had to like practice the deck for a little bit before the tournament. But I think in the OTS Championship it also did well because I was able to top, and that was I think only a week after the deck came out.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I think with the deck, it's just if you're able to understand your own deck and other people's deck that you play against, and you know exactly all the card effects, you can literally play around anything. I think your understanding of the game and the mechanics of the game really helps you with being able to play any deck, and the only thing you would have to learn is the actual combos in the deck. And there was like I'm not gonna lie, when I started playing the deck, there was a real brick wall that I was hitting constantly with. I was like, I normal summon Moyi and then I get raided and I pass. And you know, that was just kind of the thing that kind of hit me, because I realized at the time I was still trying to play it like a control player where you normal summon effect and it gets raided and you're like, set 4, you know? And now you're like, I actually have to make something in order to keep playing. Not that Altergeist is like basic mainstream. Altergeist does have its Altergeist is easy turn 1, but as the game goes on, that's when the deck becomes difficult to play and the understanding of it becomes more difficult. But now with SwordSoul, your turn 1s become like you have to think at the start. There's Nibiru, there's Gamma. What do I need to play around? You know, and I think it's just being more open-minded to the hand traps that hit you.
Yeah,
and I think that's the difference between playing the decks, is that you're susceptible to more, but you have a higher ceiling. So. That's the
Cool. And how was your like matchups on the day?
It was a rough climb. I'm not gonna lie. It was a really rough climb. So round 1, I played against Tri Brigade.
Okay.
I think it was a possible build up, but I think game 1 he bricked, and game 2 he opened subpar, and I just stopped him. Because I didn't see the birds. I think he mostly opened the Tri Brigade, and I beat him 2-0. But like game 1, he opened triple Ash, so it wasn't. It wasn't a fun game for him. Round 2 was Virtual World.
Sure.
That was tough. I can't remember what happened because he won the die roll. I lost both die rolls, by the way. And he won the die roll, and he went first, and he opened Shinshin, Kaliga, Crystal Wing, Chuje, and Imperial Order, and somehow eventually won that game. And then game 2, he opened God again, and then my hand wasn't strong enough to break it. And then game 3, I went first and eventually won. So it was a 2-1 game.
Yeah.
Round 3 was against the previous champion. Shout out to you, Byron Milford. Well done. It was his Evil Twin Eldritch Dogmatica.
Sure.
I beat him. He went first, and I was able to OTK him through his board. And then game 2, because he was playing a really strong Eldritch matchup, so I sided in the red reboot, and I was lucky enough to see it. So like it switched off his back row and his punishment. Then all I had to deal with was like a hand trap and maybe, you know, the fleur and the like the pop from the 2 Evil Twins. Which wasn't too much of a problem. I guess like SwordSoul can play through quite a lot.
Yeah.
Especially with the 10E package. So yeah, it was able to like literally just bounce through that like it was nothing. And I was able to just kill him on that turn. Because I knew if I didn't, he would have gone off, and I needed to. I think the thing that actually won me that game was people were surprised that I used Ecclesia to go into Long Yuan instead of more you.
Yeah, when you told me about that, I was like, really?
Like,
How much more can this guy do?
I think it was funny because I even saw someone watching and I made
Yeah.
the longer one with the Ecclesia and he was like, what? And he was confused because it doesn't trigger anything off summon.
Yeah.
And then I banished the Shuna to summon the Adara and was able to go into a Yazi for 7. And because he couldn't target it with any of his evil twins or like Veil or anything, it was a free pop and it forced him to use his Fleur. And then I could just play on from that because he had nothing, like not much else.
And then I believe you added it to hand somehow, right? Like the Longyan or something, and then.
Yeah, so you make the Yazi, and then I normal summon the Taya.
Oh yes.
And then I banished the Longyuan off the Taya, and then I made Baxia.
Yeah.
And then I was able to go Baxia, pop the Yazi, summon like something else. I think I summoned the Adara from grave.
Yes.
And then Yazi would summon Moi from deck, so I got all 3 of my things out.
Yeah,
and then I made Chaofeng to like not get hit with the Veilers. And then I was able to ban off the Moi token. I was able to banish Adara to get the Longyuan back, and then I still had Longyuan's effect in hand.
Yeah,
so there's still like enough to get over everything, you know.
Yeah.
And then ever since I've seen that play, I've done it like a lot more times than I would think, you know. So it really works just to have extra plays where people don't see it. So
definitely.
Yeah. That was a good match. Like shout out to Byron, he really did well. Then my round 4 was Pranesh. He was playing Dragon Link, which was scary. I think if it wasn't for time, I probably would have lost that game. Because he was trying to rush into time because I burnt him and everything, and I don't think he could get just enough damage off because he was rushing his players. But I think if we had extra time, he probably would have beaten me. So respects. Round 5 was against Eldritch Stun.
Okay.
So yeah, that was game 1. He went. I lost all my die rolls. I think I lost all my die rolls in this game. And round 5, he went first in game 1, and he just saw the nuts, and I was like, yeah, that's not happening, no. And then game 2, I think it was a bit of a grind, and I killed him. In game 3, I opened the Harpies, and he had the judgment, but like I had enough to play through like the rest of his 3 traps, which he had, which wasn't a problem. You know? So that was the last. And then the final round in the finals, I faced Dragon Link once again. Yeah, it was Eldritch Stun round 5. So final round, I played against Dragon Link again, and it was against Ruan. Shout out to you as well. Ruan. Yeah, that was also 2-1. That was a tough game. But the game 3, like Pancratops plus Chalice, because he made full board with like Seal, Tiding, Savage, and then Pancratops plus Chalice just outed the entire board. So it was pretty rough.
Cool.
That was a matchup for the day.
Nice. And okay, so maybe we should get into your actual deck list.
Yes. Yeah.
Cool.
He's like weird, sacky things.
So 42.
Yes.
In fact, I actually played 43 for the same event. So
yeah,
I guess that's the norm now.
It's the norm now. I think his decks, the top tier decks are becoming more consistent. So I think you can afford to play them. And also, like, it's just like so much space, and you want to add these things. You know? Because I mean, you can't you can play 40 decks and you'll be okay, but then like you need to add like the extra 2 droplets in the main deck just to play against the decks, because there's some boards you can't out without them. You know? That kind of thing. So it's literally just having those extra cards that you draw in your opening hand going second, and you're happy with.
Fair.
And you still have combo because the deck is consistent enough, you know.
Yeah.
Because especially with Small World now making things more consistent, like they make rogue decks so good. So
yeah,
you know, there's those sort of things. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so obviously starting off with the Protoss, how did that do on the day?
What's your
thoughts?
I did not see Protoss. I don't think I saw him at all throughout the day. I probably saw it like maybe once. It might have been against Dragon Link. I can't even remember seeing it that often. But yeah, I didn't. I think I even cited it out once because I was just not seeing it. I was like, you know what? I would rather have this at this point. So yeah, it was just it's good. Like the night before I played it, it was so good. I saw it all the time. It was so good. And then on the day, I hardly saw it at all. But it still works.
Fair.
Yeah.
Cool. And then 2 Ash. I guess that's pretty normal. How are you
Yeah.
feeling about Ash in the current meta?
I think so. A lot of people are discounting Ash now, but I think if you Ash someone at their key point, or a lot of the times, especially when you go against rogue decks or something, a lot of the times if you hit an Ash at the right time, it can stop someone's turn, or it can literally stop them from getting that one negate that makes you not able to play the rest of your hand. Obviously, you're trying to play around talents and stuff now, but like just hitting that one Ash is so good, and also like making your full board and ending with the Ash and a follow up in hand. You know, even if they stop your board, you've still got something to slow them down, which is nice.
Cool. 3 times Ecclesia, who's broken card in the game at the moment.
Yes, it is so good.
15 attacks.
Going second, this card is like so dumb. It's insane. I mean, obviously I don't get it back because I don't play any fusions.
Sure.
But still, the tribute to summon is just insane. Remember, always tribute summon for long yarn. This is the it's the new play.
I guess you can get it back with like Boxia or something.
Yeah, so the nice thing is actually if they like token collector you or something, and you're able to get this back from the grave, it is a level 4 tuner and you can synchro summon it with Moi as well, which is still really good either way, you know. So it's still fine to play. Like, or bring back at least. So, sometimes, funny enough, I had like normal summon the Ash just to get into something. just for the tuner. Like I would have like Long Yuan or something, or maybe I would have a Tenyi. I would have one of those level 7 Tenyis. And I would normal summon the Ash and I would synchro into like a Baroness or something. Which was pretty dumb, but it worked.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, then obviously the rest of the SwordSoul is fairly standard, I guess. 3 Moi, 2 Tai, 3 Long. So that's fairly standard. And then obviously the Tenyis. So we have 2 Adara, 3 Ashuna, and 2 Vashuda. That seems to be more or less standard as well. How are you feeling on those ratios?
I personally like it because like seeing them at 1-off is okay because Vashuda is still out to almost anything on the board, and Adara is still your recursion. If not, it's a reveal target for Moi, you know. And I think the thing that people like tried, I think playing 3 Vashuda and Adara is not amazing because they're not always the tenure you want to see in your hand, and you're not always going to open Vessel. So I always thought like Ashuna is the best one, and playing these at 2 I feel like is the right ratio. Because sometimes just seeing a lot of tenures can break you. You know, and like especially if it's just Vashuda and Adara and you don't see the Vessel and you don't see the Ashuna, like that's a really not the best hand because you can't really do too much with that. That's why I decided to keep them at 2 and keep the Ashuna at 3 because the Ashuna is your combo starter, and the other 2 are just to go off with the combo. So that's why I kept those at 2.
Fair.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the one call by, one chalice, 1 drops.
So the 1 chalice was going to be my other droplets, but obviously the droplets didn't arrive. So
no, but we did speak about this earlier. Like 1 droplets is the right ratio. You know, it's not because we only have 1. It's because it's the right ratio.
I mean, sending from your why would I want to send my combo pieces from my hand?
It's fair.
But actually, I was almost like the only reason why I'm playing droplets or why I would play droplets is because of decks like PK, decks like Bird Up, decks like Drytron. Those are the only reasons. Otherwise, I do. A lot of the times when I saw Chalice, I was more happy with Chalice because it was like the 1-for-1 negates and outs, and it wasn't really a problem. But I think it was just because I was lucky because I didn't run into that many Drytrons or Bird Up. So I think that was a bit of luck on my part with getting the Chalice, but the droplets did help me a lot. I mean, obviously you can just like activate the Desires and chain droplets, you know, it's still an option. So.
Okay, cool. And then obviously the 2 Circle. Circles, honestly, it's nuts. It's absolutely
Heavenly
nuts.
Dragon Circle.
Yeah. I mean, it dodges Imperm, like the graveyard effect alone. Like, why did it need to have another effect.
Yeah, I think it's
It
just like a
doesn't need
free
to have
search.
another effect.
It's a free search, and it's a quick play spell. So like, if they're gonna pop your token or something, you chain it and you search, which is
Yeah.
it's just so good. It's people underestimate this so much, and I
Yeah.
even played it in like when I first bought the deck. This was the issue I was having as well with like you kept getting veiled and you passed it. This gives you another option now as well. Like if you just open the Moi and you don't see your Tenny package and your Moi gets veiled or Emperor, you can after the resolution just tribute it and search a Shudna, and then you can keep going off with your Tenny combo, which is fine, you know, or you search a long one and then you end on a Baroness or something.
Yeah.
It's all up to how you want to play it, and I think this is just really amazing. Even so, you usually end up with a random Ashuna in your deck, and you can get like a worm in your hand just for free.
It feels like it's a second and third call buy in a way.
Yeah.
Because it converts like, or rather it eats not eats a hand trap, but like it changes a hand trap into a play. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
So like call buy will obviously negate it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So it works really well.
And not even that, like you can set it, and then also say for example you're only able to make your, like you've been hand trapped to shit, and then you're only able to make your Chishao or something like that, and you've got no follow up in your hand. You can literally set this with the blackouts, and then you chain one blackout, and then you can chain to the circle, and you contribute it to search for a tire or something, and you set up for next turn already.
Yeah.
And you get a free pop 2 for nothing, and you get a search.
So pretty much like quick play rota for the deck.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
It's so
really good.
And the fact that it adds a worm, it gives you another searcher for Protoss and stuff, which you don't get that often in the deck, you know.
Yeah.
So it's really good for consistency as well.
Cool. And then 2 times desires, I'm guessing just draw power. There's no particular card you really need in the deck.
Yeah. Some people were like, you must play it at 3. You know? So I get why people play it at 3. I guess I've always been the 2 desires. But even back, like I think a couple of years ago, when Lynx first came out, I played Paleo for a bit. That was just before Altergeist came out, and I played Desires at 2 as well. And it was just, I don't know. It's weird. Like it was nice seeing it, but you didn't always need to see it. It was kind of felt like a win more card, you know.
I think it's fine on 2. Like I personally play 2, but my reasoning is obviously because I have stuff that I can't banish within the deck, so I don't want to overdo it. But I mean it's a really good ratio,
I mean, if you look at the SwordSoul, it's actually got a really small engine. It's got what, 3, 4. It's got what, 5, 6, 7, 8 monsters.
Yeah.
But
you play like 3 of everything, so it's fairly safe to banish, I guess.
But like your main synchro makers are your 3 Moi, your 2 Taya, your 3 Long Yuan. That's it. Like your 10 is just extra combo to go into it. And if you don't want to get rid of too much of your engine. So I don't know. Yeah. It's debatable. Like I don't see you wrong if you say play 3. I agree with you. But I just play 2.
Cool. And then obviously 3 emergence, 1 what is it called? Summit.
Yeah, Summit.
Cool.
Yeah. Summit was insane. Summit actually Summit won the finals.
It feels really, really strong. Obviously not great just drawing it flat out unless you special summoning something from the graveyard. Yeah. But like turn 2 it seems really, really strong because almost everything you bring back and they have an effect that you can use of some sort.
Like Long Yuan plus Taya plus Summit is just nuts.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, it's really good.
And then 2 tactics. How did that feel? Because obviously your deck is a income, magnet, which doesn't trigger tactics. But like, how did that feel for you?
So like, I know. So some people opt to go more hand trap heavy boards. Some don't. I think also going second, it really works so well because you playing through boards. Tactics is amazing because of that free draw too. Like I had something where I tried to play through a 4 board and I had nothing left and I tactics drew 2 and I drew into Ecclesia and then I had combo again.
Okay. Cool.
So it was just, because he had exhausted everything and the last card in my hand was tactics because he had already indicated my stuff and he didn't see it coming.
Yeah.
So it's so good for playing. It's so good for going first or second. Like you don't mind seeing it as your sixth card as well, which is really really nice. And I know a lot of decks these days, like you want to have cards that you're okay with seeing as your sixth card. And I think that's the benefit of the doubt that things like maybe a Nibiru or a draw or something don't give you.
Yes.
But even so, the amount of times people nibbed me.
Yeah. Like I personally also played Nib for this event because it just seemed like, you know, even if it would get negated, like against your deck, I mean, it eats the battle negate.
Yeah.
Worst case, you know.
Yeah, and even at the end of it, like because every time there was never a time when Nib was a problem for me. I was always able to play through it, or I always had backup.
Yeah.
But even that, if I just got Nib, because people were even maining Nib at this event, which was insane. It was so good. I mean, it's a good card this format, but I think Nib alone doesn't do enough. It just sets your opponent back a little bit from what they used to have.
Yeah.
But yes, I do think Tactics is insane. This format, I wouldn't want to play 3 because obviously drawing 2 is a brick. But like the 2 I had, it's just every time I saw it, I loved it.
Cool.
And yeah, some people were telling me not to play it because of Imperm, and then I checked at the tournament and then they were playing it, and I was like, yeah. But it was, it's
I mean,
just,
that's the thing. There's only 3 Imperms that could ever be in a deck, so I mean.
Yeah. And it's insane. Like Tactics is really really insane, and I really was happy with it.
Nice. And then 3 Vessel. How are you feeling the Vessel? I mean, it's broken.
Vessel is just like if you see it in your opening hand and you're able to make the link 1 or the tokens, you know, you get a +2. I mean, I guess it's also like if you ash this thing, this is a really strong ash target as well for the Vessel. People don't understand that as well. I won't give away too many secrets, but it sends a worm and it adds a 10U, which is insane. Because then if you're going second, even if you can send like your next combo piece and you just make Baxia, and then you use the Baxia to summon the combo piece from the grave, which is really really good. But going second, I actually side some of these out. Usually 2 or if not all 3, because it's like a really hard plus card, but also it's so like reliant on that hard plus that if it gets negated, it's like I needed this, you know. So I would rather have that be like something like a Pankratops, let's say, you know, just to play through my opponent's board, and then on top of that also be able to normal summon more Yi and then go off, or special Ecclesia or whatever. But it's really good. It's insane.
Yeah. Cool. And then you played 5 chaps, obviously.
Yes.
So you main decked IO. What was your thinking around like the main deck IO? Is there any particular matchups you wanted for?
I think so many. There's so many power play spell cards in the current meta that even if the opponent doesn't play a lot of spells, the spells they do play are probably the thing that make the combo. So, like for example, Bird Claw or Droplets are like really good. Lightning Storm is really prominent. Maybe something even like Revolt, I guess. You know, or quick Revolt or Quick Launch. Sorry, not Revolt. Boot Sector Launch. That's it. Not Revolt. Boot Sector Launch for Dragon Link is just insane. And if you like order that, they can't summon. They can't get their resources. You know, even you hit the Chaos Space and they just go -2. It's just. It's really 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 good just for the power play like spells and just in general, and you can out it yourself because you've got Baxia to like pop it and set, or you can shuffle it back into your deck even, you know, whichever you feel. So it's literally so easy to out on your own.
Cool.
Yeah, and by the time your first turn's up, you don't play your spells usually. But
fair. And then 2 Imperm, obviously it's popular at the moment with a match. It hits pretty much everything,
Yeah, I didn't play 3 because I didn't want to make it 23. I was like, okay, that's a bit pushing it for consistency, you know? Yeah.
And then double blackout, obviously, it's part of the combo.
Yeah. I noticed a lot of people playing 1 blackout now.
Yeah, also, I actually wanted to ask you about that. So I think they're dropping it, obviously, because they don't want to like double draw it or...
Yeah.
But I'm guessing you're keeping in the second for the token?
So the idea of it more was like, if I banish the one, I still have the off the desires. I still have the one to play with.
Okay.
And even if you open it, you're still okay with like you can search a follow up for next turn. You know, or if you open it, you literally search a summit, and then you make like you don't just make the Chi-Shao. You can make Chi-Shao plus Dragite plus what's it, Baroness, which is really even more insane because you get a spell and trap negate as well, you know. So I think it's just maybe going second. You can. It's also like siding space for going second. You can side out one. For going first, it's just if you open it, it's still good. You don't have to search it. You can search any of your other pieces for like a follow up, you know. So it doesn't really matter. I think 2 is still the good spot because banishing it, if you open your first turn with just G-Shao and you've desires already and you banished it, it hurts because now you don't have the pop 2.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things where I feel 2 is best. I don't know. It's just
Cool. And then obviously you're not playing like Sark or Instant Fusion or anything.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on those cards?
Like I was testing them, but I think the deck is consistent enough already that because the thing is you don't know whether your opponent's gonna pop your monster or pop your token at this point. And you literally bank with playing those cards, you're literally banking on them popping your token. And a lot of the times people didn't even pop my token because they were like, oh, he won't be able to go into links or anything. So they literally pop the monster. And then that makes summoning like another token null and void because it doesn't really do anything. So that's why I chose not to play the Instant Fusion and the Gold Sark. Because the 2 just makes it that you're playing into what you've already been locked to.
Yes.
And I felt like I would rather have more like out to something rather than playing combo extenders. So that was the idea behind that. Like I did test it, don't get me wrong, but then it just felt like I'm trying too much. To get into combo. So
Okay. And then extra deck, the Dragite, fantastic.
Dragite's insane. I mean, even if you're playing the Biru, you can use Dragite's effect and bounce cards as well. So it's free bounce. People forget that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Obviously, the one Baron is pretty much staple.
Yeah, staple.
2 times Baxia.
Baxia is the most broken worm card in existence.
Yeah, I mean the shuffle is so strong.
It's shuffle 2. It's dumb.
If it literally just said shuffle the shuffle 2 thing. And didn't have the special from Grave, it'll be so good just on its own. But the fact that it has a combo effect as well, it's so good.
Like pop a card on your field special. You can even set like a card that you have in hand that you're never going to use. And just pop it.
Or something you want to engrave.
Or if you have something chainable, you know, you set it and then, or like if you set it the previous turn, you make this, pop your set card, chain the set card. Which is really dumb as well. Like if you set a Cyclone the previous turn, it's just, it's good,
Chow Fang, obviously with the Chow Fang lock, does that come up fairly often?
So I usually use this, so if I knew I had enough combo, I usually use this just so I didn't get nibbed or veilered or gammed. Because Gamma was also being main decked a lot in the tournament. So those literally played around like a lot of the stuff. Even against things like against like Dogmatica, it shuts off the entire Dogmatica engine because they're all lights. And it also shuts off like Evil Twins because they also lights. It also shuts off Eldritch because they can't use their Golden Lord to get back from the grave. So it actually turns off like so many things, and just sitting with this on board is insane. And it can search for tuner on destruction as well. So if you pop it with Blackout, you have follow up for the Ecclesia, or you can even search the Ash and still have an extra negate.
Cool.
So it's I like it. It's not one of those things that you always make, but it saves you a lot. It prevents you from being hit.
Cool.
Yeah.
And then obviously one times Berserker. I mean, this card is nuts. The fact that it gains attack, plus you can do the vanish thing, attack twice. Really good.
Usually if I get nibbed, funny enough, I end on, like, I would usually just end on Chisha, but then if I get nibbed, I end on, like, Berserker plus something else, which was even worse for them when they nibbed me. So it was just, like, because then after you get nibbed, you're like, okay, I'm safe to keep playing. And then at the end of the day, you still got this fat token on board that you're gonna attack with next turn because they can't get rid
Yes.
of it.
Yeah.
So.
And then
Yeah,
Ruddy, how did the Ruddy go? Because I'm very,
Uh,
very impressed with this card. Yeah.
it's so I never summoned it because I
Okay.
didn't have because the matchups where you do summon it, you don't need to. I think I had the option to summon it once against like Dragon Link, I think it was. But the thing is, it just felt like I'm extending into too many resources and I need something to protect it, so you don't always go for the Ruddy. But against something like Drytron, this is like you go for this and it's over for them, for the next turn.
Yeah.
Like this just kills them so hard. And the nice thing is also if you synchro summon it with Longyuan, you can chain block it, which is so good.
Cool.
So yeah, it's really insane. Even if you don't play it a lot, I still say play it. Even if you don't summon it.
Yeah. I mean, like the fact that he has that protection effect. I mean, that was for no reason whatsoever. Pretty much, it's so good just with the banish.
Free protection. I don't want to get lightning stormed on your top deck. No thanks.
And then it's what, like 3/2 attack, right?
Yes.
It's just slightly over. Yeah.
It's like good luck beating over that.
Yeah. And then you played Scarlet, so that was interesting.
No, I didn't play Scarlet actually.
Oh, okay.
I'm switching to Scarlet now though.
Okay.
Because I played Shen instead.
Fair.
Yeah, I played the QB Shen. So that the virtual, all about how Shen can lock people out. You know how it turns off decks.
Yeah.
So it's really nice because you can go into the level 9s. But I never ever really went into it because I felt like there was always something better to go into to extend my combo plays. So I realized after some time. I mean, the nice thing about it, if you out it, you can still keep summoning it back, which is what makes it so good.
Yeah.
But I think the fact that it was just there was so many better things to go into at the time that I play. I would rather take it out. The new tech I would want to play is the Scarlight because then because Scarlight now actually rips a board entirely. So you just summon Scarlight and after you've like dark rooted, then you destroy like the whole wind. What's it? The wind lock. Plus all the negates that they have after you dark rooted them, and then they have to play from nothing next turn. And it's a 1-card blow up the board, which is really nice.
Yeah, that's really strong. Yeah. I guess like with Shen, you'd probably have to like sacrifice your Grandmaster.
Yeah.
Like to be able to make it, because you need that like decrease or increase in level.
Yeah, exactly. Or like you would have to sacrifice. I would like rather because usually you would summon it off Tyre because you banish the spell and increase the level. But the thing is that you would rather make a Baxia at that point because you're getting rid of 2 targets and you're putting them back in the deck, which is even more insane. And you still get further combo pieces, So
that's fair.
It was that kind of thing.
Yeah. Cool. And then obviously 2 times Grandmaster, 1 time Sovereign.
Yes.
Combo pieces, Sovereign's nuts on his own.
Yeah.
It's generally like 4-5 attack.
The best is when you desire to sit with the Sovereign. People look at you like, it's 3K. You're like, no. It's a lot more. And
let's see your graveyard. I mean, let's see your banish,
Yeah, let's see your banish. And I was playing, even when I was playing against Byron, I summoned him and then I only realized afterwards, oh wait, your monsters actually lose all their attack because this thing goes stupid,
Yeah.
It was so dumb because that's what helped the OTK because I had desires. That's all in that game, so it just made it points.
Nice.
So Sovereign's fun.
Yeah,
I love Sovereign.
He's really good. Really good.
Chicken boy, yeah.
Then Yazi's nuts in this deck. I mean,
Yazi,
really.
Like people have stopped playing it. I've seen decks in the US that I don't play Yazi, and then after that one play, learning the Longyuan plus Adara, I'm just you can't take it out.
Yeah, it just feels like there's some combos where you need to do that, and it pops something in your opponent's side of the field, free.
It's like free removal, so you literally pop itself and an opponent's card, and then it also summons from deck on destruction. So you can summon your Moi or your Tyre or whatever you want to continue your combo, and it can't be targeted, so you can literally out I would say a dogmatic punishment.
Yes. Yeah.
which is so good, and it's so prominent nowadays.
Yeah, definitely.
So and it's got 2/6 attack, which you can beat over a lot. Like this thing can play through so many boards, which is so
I think people really overlook the non-targeting thing because it's big. It really is big. Like if you're in a rough spot and something can't be targeted. I mean, look at what do you call it? Smoggling.
Yeah.
Literally just targeting. That alone just makes things so much more complicated.
It's 2/4 attack. That's it. 2/4, and literally not being able to target it is just like so frustrating.
Yeah. It's not even that big a deal. It's 2/4 attack, but just not targeting makes it so much more complicated.
Yeah, exactly. I've almost considered, because I even considered once, because if I make this and I normal summon the Ash, I can still go into a Chaofeng and say no darks, which would be pretty nuts as well.
Oh yeah, that's quite
so
cool.
That's the idea. I've never done it, but one day it's gonna come up and it's gonna be stupid.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Cool. And then you obviously have your link monsters, which are the two. What is he called? Tenyi. Link one.
Tenyi, the monk.
Monk. Yeah.
And then the one shaman.
Cool. How are you finding the shaman? Because I know that's not also always played. Sometimes it is.
Yeah. Well, the monk is obviously for your combos, but the shaman is just like your last resort. I would say. It's literally last resort. It's come up so many times, and people don't realize if you have shaman and monk. Like when I was playing one of the games against, it was actually in the finals when I was playing against Luan in game 2. I made shaman and then I brought back the monk, and I was able to pop like one of his big monsters that he had. I think it was the savage, and he had already used his negates. And we were like playing top deck wars, so sitting on just the shaman and monk was like insane and so good. Because I just attacked with monk, and then I used shaman's effect to pop his monster, and then I could attack with both of them, which is really good. It's just shaman is better than people expected. The only thing that locks you is from using the effects of extra deck monsters that aren't 10 years. But even so, that's okay because you're usually going to use them during your opponent's turn anyway. So it doesn't lock you that hard, but still, it's good follow up and it's good backup just in case.
Cool. Okay, so and then your side, one time Spank, too strong.
Pank, like I see why you called it once.
Yeah. 3 draw, obviously. I mean, draw is super prominent at the moment.
Yeah, if you don't have draw, you're gonna have a tough time in this meta.
Yeah,
I can tell you that now. Bird Up, Drytron, those are the decks you need to hit with draw. Even Dragon Link, like the best combo. Okay. I forgot to say earlier on that Dragon Link is also a really dangerous deck right now.
It really is.
It's been doing so well, and people underestimate it. Yeah.
Cool. 2-time Cyclone. How did that go? I mean, you have a bunch of like back row removal. I think it's Cyclone, Duster.
You can tell I'm a back row player because I respect the back row decks.
Definitely,
You always have to respect the back row decks. I mean, in my round 5, I went against Eldritch, so Eldritch Stun. So it really, I never needed to side in Cyclone as much, but sometimes hitting the right traps with Cyclone literally saves you a turn. Like against Dragon Link, I know you don't usually side it in because of Nocto, but I did side it in the one time and he didn't see the Nocto, and I hit the Tiding, and because of that I was able to play through, which is really nice. So Cyclone is really good.
Yeah, cool. 2-time Dark Ruler. I mean, it's also necessary at the moment. You need that board negate. Cool. Duster. How did the Duster feel? Because obviously it's not chainable, but I mean it is a board wipe.
Yeah, so a lot of decks, what they're doing right now is they usually end on like, so a lot of the good decks right now, they usually end on like 2 or 3 monsters and then maybe like 1 or 2 back row. And usually it's like an imperm and either a blackout or a punishment or sometimes it can be Imperial Order, but then you're forcing out the Imperial Order anyway.
Yeah.
It's it's really good just for outing those, because sometimes all you need is, because SwordSoul can play through so much, but sometimes just there's that little extra push that people can have in their back row, like the pop 2, that can really hinder you. And Harpy's just it can be a 1 for 2 and just deal with that. You don't have to worry about it. Even so, if they negate it, their back row is like, oh okay, this person's got something insane back there. And it prevents it stops like stops a negate, which is like all you need. Even
Yeah.
no matter what, it's a big blowout card, and it's a reason why it's limited.
Yeah.
So,
Cool. And then Storm, I'm guessing similar
Yeah.
thinking. Yeah.
Lightning Storm, like even though I know a lot of people play it because they can destroy attack position monsters, people were playing around this thing like it was their job.
Oh, dude. Yeah.
Like you couldn't. A lot of people I noticed were sitting in lightning storms with lightning storms in hand, and they couldn't do anything because everything was in defense position.
Yeah.
But I mostly played the extra. I only have one, but I mostly played it because it felt like another Harpies.
Mm.
So that's usually what I played it for. It was more for the back row rather than the monsters.
Mm.
But even so, it just would be good either way. Like you will see. I mean, even you see over here, I played the Raigeki as well instead. Like, I could have gotten the second Lightning Storm, but I rather chose to play Raigeki because it's the monsters that are going to give you a problem as well. And sometimes the Raigeki just deals with the entire board, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
So, yeah.
Definitely. One time Mystic Mine, that's always fun.
Yeah. So what I did was, for the Mystic Mine, I didn't use it for like just siding in against any deck. The only decks I sided it in for were the decks that I felt like, you know, Mystic Mine is quite a painful card. Like especially when it comes to like, I guess people would say like toxicity and stuff like that. It's like a really like so many people ban it, or it's a really salt-inducing card. But I feel like if someone sits there and is able to barrier stat to you, and I can't play for the turn, you deserve to get Mystic Mine. You know, it's that kind of thing. Or if you're gonna scythe lock me, for example, Phantom Knights and Bird Up, they will literally do all those things like big lockouts, but they don't have the spell and trap negate except for the card in the graveyard. You know, the trap. So usually you can play around that with the Mystic Mine, which is quite alright, you know. So Mystic Mine, I feel like I only sided it in against those decks that I feel like would give me trouble of locking me out of the extra deck or doing some sort of you can't play the game mechanic. You know?
Yeah, definitely.
Like against anything else, it's useless. Like you can't put it in against Dragon Link because they can bounce it with Tidying. You can't put it in against Virtual World because to Chair Pop. You know, those small little decks, even Eldritch, even Evil Twin, they can play around it. You know, it's not a problem. But it's mostly against the big combo decks that don't have any spell and trap negates. That's what you hit them with. So.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna play it before. It was literally I decided the night before that I was gonna play it. So,
nice.
And
you put in some work.
Yeah, I actually never saw it because I didn't really need it. I didn't play against those decks, but it would have put in a lot of work. So I was happy to have it there because the night before when I tested it, it just worked like a dream. So.
Okay. So we obviously spoke about the Raigeki. 2 times evenly seems really strong at the moment.
It is very strong. The only reason why I played 2 instead of 3 is because people are siding Lancia a lot now. So because I'm playing the 10E package, they are gonna Lancia me. So even though Evenly is really good, I put in Evenlies and other board breakers just so like sometimes you would see the Evenly, sometimes you would see the other board breaker. You can't just be like, oh, I'll only rely on Evenly to break my opponent's board, because doing that, especially here in South Africa, people are gonna play the weirdest stuff you've ever seen. So you know, you can't always rely on that one Evenly. It's not like in the USA, like I'll play 3 Evenly and I'll just Evenly them. It doesn't always work, you know.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's even nice to see like an Evenly and a Raigeki or something like that. Because then if they negate the one, you hit them with the other sort of thing, which is really, really good. So Evenly it's as good as it is, it also hits back row decks like anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's one of those things I still like and I still have respect for, but it's not insane because people lance at me all the time. So.
Fair. Cool. And then one Red Reboot.
Yes, which won me my Ego Twin matchup. Which was, honestly, if I hadn't opened the Red Reboot, I probably would have lost that game. So it's so good. There's a reason why it's at 1. It just shuts down back row decks like crazy. Me being an Altergeist player, I know how it feels. Like, if someone goes Harpies, you judge with the Red Reboot, you just cry. So I know the feeling. That's why I play it, because it's so strong and I've seen the power it can do to other decks. So it's like, time to have my revenge. Remember?
They used to do this to me. Now I'm the one doing
Now I'm the one doing it. So yeah, I know the pain.
Cool.
So when I red reboot someone, when I tell you I know how it feels and it's shit, I mean it. Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, that's the profile. I mean, like the deck itself.
Yeah.
Any other comments, like last minute comments, like ratios, or card choices, etc.
Yeah, I guess I think I'm still like working on changing a couple of things. I don't know if I'll ever put that other droplets in. I probably will. I'll see how time goes, but I'll definitely play the Scarlight and see how that works instead of the Shen.
Okay.
Also, I think the rest of the stuff I was quite happy with. Nothing ever really felt like it was like, I wish I had changed this for something else. You know, I was always, every time I saw it, I was like, yeah, I'm okay with this. So, like, the only thing I was iffy about was the droplets. Like, every time I saw Chalice, I liked it. And I thought if this Chalice was a droplet, I would lose this game. You know, it was that kind of situation. So I don't know, maybe I would side the droplets or something. I'm not quite sure. And then just play another Chalice. But droplets are so good in the main for outing those big, the evil decks like a Bird Up and Drytron and those sort of things. You know, you still need it either way. So those are the debates I'm still going through in my head. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Like, because it's been doing okay so far, and I'm happy with how I built it so far. If anything else, I'll probably just give like a shout out, because apparently I'm in the team now. So shout out to the Scrub Out Squad, SOS. It's Ruan and Pranesh and Chris. Krish, thank you, Krish, by the way, for lending me the Emergence, and Pranesh for lending me the Moyi, because I'm literally those two off, but I got my Moyi and Emergence now, of course. Also, Mr. Andrew, I said Ruan, was Chris, also Ian, Yugi Mango, shout out to you in the SOS, Scrub Out Squad. Like, really well played to all of them, because they also did well in the tournament. Like, Ruan, that finals was a lot of fun. It was like a really fun finals, and I honestly went in. I only wanted to at least make top 4 and get the deck box, because the deck box is cool.
Yeah, it's
and
pretty
then
cool.
And then you're sitting in the finals, and you're like, you know, let's at least try. You know, you get to that point, and you're like, wow, I'm here. It's because it's the first regionals I've ever actually won, because I've topped a couple, but like, it's finally to win one that feels good. And also shout out to Byron, like, he really played really well, and he was, you know, he won the last OTS championship, so I feel honored to like take his spot as the next, you know, the next who's gonna take my throne next, because it's always like that thing in Joburg, you know, one at a time.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like the competitive play is quite high. I mean, like, I think there's a bunch of guys that are pretty much. It could be anyone. It could be you know, it could be someone, whoever's day. Or it could be their format, or whatever it may be. Yeah. So yeah, definitely. But like going 6-0, I mean, it's hard to contest that. It's hard to contest that.
I mean, I think the thing is as well is that a lot of the players that we're seeing, I've noticed, like, including you as well, there's been players that we've seen that have consistently been in the top cut for like the past 3 big events, and those are players to watch out for. Like, for example, Byron, you, even I will say, I dare say it's gonna give him such an ego boost, but Raymond, he's he's also been topping a lot of tournaments, you know. There's actually, you can see the people that are consistently topping and doing really well. And you can see who's even like, they're not even playing the craziest decks, but they're still doing really, really good with them, you know. Obviously, a lot of us that are topping, we are playing like some of the really good decks, but also it's because we've got the experience and we know what we're up against, you know? And like I said at the beginning, it's about being able to understand other people's decks and your matchups and how the game works. That gives you the time. Like, even I've seen new players who are starting up and they're getting down on themselves because they're like, I've started this, I've got the deck, I've got the cards, but I feel like I'm not winning. And it's just like, you know, that it doesn't always, it comes with experience. I didn't top my first regionals until after 2 years of playing Yu-Gi-Oh! So that comes with experience of, like, you know, building into the game. So don't get disheartened, kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely.
It takes time. Like, I mean, look, this is my first regional one. I've won, and I've been playing for 5 years. So it's not an easy road.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree with you. Like, I know a lot of guys who are like, maybe they go 4-0 and win like locals or something, and they're like, hey, I'm the best or whatever. But then it's also about, like you're saying, consistency. Like, if you're going 3-1 in every locals the last 4 weeks, then that means something, even if you didn't win. So it's more about getting that consistency, because when it comes to like the big tournaments like this, for yourself, I mean, over the last 6 months or more, you've been fairly consistently, in the top cards every time, or winning an event. I mean, like at DT, you won quite a few of the last couple months, and so it shows that consistency eventually comes with these big events. It pays off. It definitely does.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think like you're saying with like new players and stuff, it's not really about like getting droplets and all of that stuff. Like some of the deck profiles, I mean, for the top cards, it's fairly simple. It's not anything out there. Like you're playing Raigeki and all of these cards. Yeah, it's fairly easy to get. It's just a matter of like making good choices and stuff. So I think we're definitely on the money with that.
Yeah, and sometimes it's just not your day,
Oh yeah,
like I can win today, and then tomorrow I'll play SwordSoul again, and I'll open like Droplets, Chalice, Double Ash, and Perm, and then I can't play. It's just it can happen, and sometimes it's your day, sometimes it's not. Like even I want to give a shout out to like also Luke as well. He's a new player that's been playing Virtual Worlds, and he's only been playing a month, but he's become so innovative with the deck.
Yes, yeah.
Like
he played a very, very interesting build. I mean, I played him round 1. I'm sure you remember. It was an interesting build. I played like a lot of heavy hitting cards overall. And it was a good build, and we had a good run.
Yeah, he played Lost Wind, and he would set it and make Crystal Wing on your turn, and it's what? That was like, I didn't even think of that as much, it was so clever. He came to me, he was like, can I play Lost Wind? Does it work off token? I was like, does it? Apparently it does, if you time it correctly. And then apparently he played like double Crystal Wing, so that was like such a cool idea, because your Crystal Wing would get like, I don't know, droplets or chalice or something, and then you just lost one set, make another Crystal Wing, and your opponent's just like, oh my god, or you just make like a Stardust or something, any Dragon Synchro. It's so clever, and I like the idea. So
cool.
He's got some innovative ideas. And some of them I think he's crazy, but I love that stuff.
Yeah, but that's what it's about. I mean, you try out all the variants, and then you figure out what's more consistent or what's
suddenly you come out with something that no one else plays.
Yeah, definitely. For the event, I mean, shout out to Beard Yu-Gi-Oh, Dian. Yes. I don't know if you heard about his deck. Like I'm sure he talked about it in his video. When he told me about that, I think after round 2, and I stared at him blankly, because I was like, this can't work. This can't possibly work, but it does. the trap trick into blackout.
It's just
so unreal. So basically, like everyone that's playing punishment, or you're wasting your time by locking yourself out of your extra deck, just play this, and it does the exact same thing.
It does the same thing. You don't even.
It was so good. But I mean, but that's what it's about, I guess. Just trying out these different things.
These crazy dumb ideas. I love them, and I love the creativity that we're starting to see in South African Yu-Gi-Oh as well. Like a lot of the new players, especially, are pushing out there, which is really, really cool.
Yeah. Cool.
So that's everything.
So yeah.
It was a day.
Yeah,
it was a day to remember.
It was an awesome day. Yeah. It was a really good tournament overall.
And congratulations on your top as well.
Yeah, thanks. I was this close. I was first. But I was quite happy with my results. Like I wasn't feeling like, oh damn, I could have been top 3 or 4 or whatever it may be. I went 4-2 or 4-1-1. Happy with that. Absolutely happy. I mean, that could have been, top 4 in another tournament. Who knows?
I was sad. I wanted the cup as well. I was pretty mad.
Oh, I got the cup. I got the cup.
I didn't get the cup. I was like, why did they get the cup?
We could swap for your deck box. I don't mind.
Thank you.
Yeah. So yeah, it was a really good tournament overall. It was fun.
Alright. Yeah, I loved it.
Cool.
Yes, thank you.
So yeah, great speaking to you, Robert. As usual. I'll probably see you this weekend.
See you in Jacobs.
Yeah, but well done on the win. It was, like I said, it was undisputed. You are definitely the champ at the moment. You definitely deserve that win. Your build looks sick, you know what I mean, and you played it really, really well. So yeah, well done too.
Thank you so much. Also, thank you. I want to give a shout out to like Flex Gaming people as well. Like Dan gave me a lot of support. I'll admit, Dan Matheson.
Yeah, we were behind you.
So,
I mean, hey, like I'm saying, we're going round by round. It's like, oh, Robert's 3-0, Robert's 4, Robert's 5-0. Like, by the end, we're like, oh no, it is tournament.
Like when I was in round 4, after I had gone forward round 4, I was like, I think that was the scary matchup because it was the deciding one, the one against Pranesh. Like that was the deciding match, and that was. Like the pressure on that match was insane. By the time round 5 came around and I saw I was facing, because Innes was next to me and he was also playing SwordSoul. He was facing the Eldritch and he got wrecked by it.
Yeah.
So, well, not wrecked, like he put up a good fight, but still it killed him. And I was like, ooh, you know. And I faced that and I was like, thank God I got another back rate. So when I went against that, I was like, I could possibly do this, you know. Cool. So it was. By then, it was like, I was just looking at the deck box, and then halfway through, I was just enjoying myself so much, I forgot about all of it. You know?
Yeah, as well. It was just a really fun event, and it was a good spread of different decks. I mean,
yes.
You know, it was pretty cool. Pretty cool.
It really was.
Yeah. Cool. So you're the guy to beat as of 2021. This was like the last big event for this year. I mean, I think we're having a couple more locals, and that's pretty much it for this year.
Yeah, pretty much.
And then we're gonna get into next year and kick some ass again.
Yeah, we'll see what the new bandless brings.
Yeah. Cool.
Right.
So
thank you.
We'll leave it there. Thanks for speaking to us, giving us your insights. Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Yasha and Flex Gaming SA.
Yeah, and definitely check out Robert's channel. Moonsong, correct?
Ciao, yes.
Yeah, he makes videos all the time, does lots of pack openings, doesn't give me any cards. No, I'm joking.
Not yet.
No, it's cool. But yeah, I mean, you do lots of good content, you do coverage on events and stuff, so definitely check him out as well. Yeah.
Right, cool. Thank you so
Good
much. Cheers, guys.